Today I'm going to make einkorn flatbread. I fed my starter last night with einkorn sourdough starter, and her name is Irma. I don't know where her... Oh, the main jar is in the fridge. Irma was started back in February. So anyway, I do a hybrid type of ratio. Usually when you feed your starter, it's like 1 part original starter, which is the mother, and then you can go 1 part flour, 1 part water, 2 parts flour, 2 parts water, on and on and on. I kind of do like this hybrid. It's almost like a how do you say it, levita madre or something like that, which is like really, really thick, and then let it sit. So that means that the rise is going to take anywhere from 10 to 12 hours, and I did this at 9 o'clock last night. We are at 9:30, so I think this is at peak. My flatbread recipe that I'm doing today is actually a discard, but I have used it at peak and it's fine. So I'm just going to settle in, make my coffee, like I have going on over here, and when I'm ready, I will use this. And I don't measure anymore either. I got lazy and it's come out fine, but I will say that if you're new to sourdough, definitely follow the ratios first until you get a hang of it. Anyway, and that's the flour that I'm using. Turns out that I actually had enough of that yarn for those pair of socks that I was knitting. I wasn't sure if I was going to have enough, so I was going to add another skein of yarn that had almost matched the original yarn. Anyway, so this, I was working both ends of the ball. This is the middle, and it's completely tangled. And I think, given how I felt about the yarn anyway, for the most part, I'm not going to really save this. I'm just going to take what I can save and then put those little scraps into my pixel blanket. So I'm going to do that. So I'm going to cut this and get rid of it. And then I'm going to go on Pinterest and find that discard recipe. I do have it saved. I actually need to make a whole board of recipes that I've already like worked and I like. That way I'm not searching for it. One day. So I'm going to do that. Yeah. And then I'll show you the socks after I get the ends woven in. In the trash. That's all I got left. Diddle little nuggets. So I get in the kitchen, start measuring out my ingredients, and I'm like, oh, I should probably be vlogging this. So I go into the craft room to get my phone, forgetting that I'm using my phone in the kitchen for the ingredients, and also can't vlog because I'm using my phone for the ingredients. Then, after I mix everything and, figuring out my starter for my next round of stuff I'm going to be doing tomorrow, I'm like, oh, I'm supposed to be using einkorn flour, not regular flour. That was the whole point. I mean, I did use the einkorn flour for the starter, but I was supposed to actually put like half all-purpose flour for me, not for the recipe, and then half einkorn flour, and I forgot to do that. I can't do things early in the morning. Like, I need like an hour to 2 hours to wake up. That's how it is these days. But I'm glad that I was able to get up and go and do the things when I needed to do it. Now it's not so important, so it's like, okay, it's just whatever. I'll roll with the punches. So at least it's at a more convenient time that I'm doing all these screw-ups. So since it only took like half a thing of yogurt, because the recipe's like, I have it up, 68 grams, and this is 150 grams. I'm just eating some Greek yogurt for breakfast. Not my favorite thing, but you know, it's just gonna sit otherwise. So I will post the recipe in the description box. Fun fact while we wait for my flatbread to flip over, you can dehydrate your starter. So, how do you dehydrate your starter? Well, you want to make sure that your starter has been fed and it's strong. So, in other words, it's had a couple of feedings and it's at peak. When it's at peak, then you want to get like a baking sheet out with parchment on it and then put out most of that starter and spread it out really thin along the parchment paper. And then take whatever's left of your starter, because you only need a little bit, and then put it back into your main jar to feed it. And then it takes about a day and a half for it to dry. So what I normally do is I swap between having it on the counter and putting it in the oven with a note on it saying, please don't start the oven. Because you never want somebody to start the oven and they bake your starter. You can revive it if somebody has done that, but it is a pain to do, so don't do that. I learned that from Sourdough Journey, I think is the name of the channel. Anyway, so that's what I do. And then the einkorn is actually the second starter that I dehydrated. And actually this bread that I'm making here is from that rehydrated starter. So what I do is after I dehydrate it, oops, we need to turn this around. Woo. It started burning. So anyway, after it's dehydrated, I like to wait like a day just to make sure everything's really dry. And then I'll take a few of those little pieces. Oh my God, I want to say a quarter of a cup, but really you don't even need that much. An eighth of a cup, so like 2 tablespoons of your dehydrated starter. Put it in a jar with some water, let it rehydrate, and then do a feeding on it. What I do is I normally do like a couple of teaspoons of flour just to wake it up, because it ain't gonna rise. You just need to wake it up. So it usually takes about 2 of those feedings. I don't discard. You can, but I don't, because I want to just keep feeding it and feeding it. So I've noticed that it takes me about 2 feedings before I really get a rise of it. Then I'll discard, and then I'll give it like a good feeding, and at that point it's ready to go. So I test that. I tested it on Frankie, who was my first starter, and she did good. So I put the rest of my dehydrated flakes away in the pantry. And then I did that with Irma, which is the starter that I'm using today. And this is what I'm baking off of, and she's ready to go. So I put her away. And yeah, so now if anything happens to my starter, my original starter, I've got a backup. And my plan is to like FIFO that first in, first out, maybe every couple of years, just so that I don't have dehydrated starters sitting on the shelf for too long. Oh, I think my bread is ready. Yep, we are ready. Gotta turn this down. Bee is smoking. Woo. Yeah, so anyway, that's what I do. I'm gonna try to put more attention onto my flatbread here. I'll see you in a few. So this recipe actually makes 8 flatbreads, but I made a small one here so you can see. I think that if you made 8, it's gonna be that size, and don't nobody want that. Like, let me put my hand there. Like, that's, I mean, I guess But if you want like real bread, then you know, you're gonna get 6. These are not even, obviously, but you're gonna get 6 out of that recipe instead of 8. And then I just put some butter on top. I'm gonna let it cool down, and then put a couple in the fridge, and the rest are going in the freezer. And I did not put any flavor in these this time. Sometimes I'll put like some garlic powder in there, or like some dried cilantro just to kind of jazz it up a little bit, but this time I left it plain. The agenda for today is I am planning on going to Smart Supply, so I will film part of that so that you can finally see what I'm talking about every single time I say I get yarn from Smart Supply. And it's Smart Art and Thrift Supply, I think is their official name. I always call them Smart Supply. Anyway, so you'll get to see that. And then after that, I plan to go to one of my favorite coffee shops. And I don't get to go there very often anymore. And they're like 40 minutes away. So I figure if I'm out in that side of town, I'm gonna go do that too. And then I am probably gonna get some Mexican food for dinner. And then at that point, I should have beat the traffic, so it shouldn't be too bad getting home. But we'll see, because it is Nashville. Anything can happen. So I am waiting for the flatbreads to cool down. I'm gonna do a little bit of knitting, watch a few podcasts, and then I'll get ready to go. One of the kids ordered Chinese food, so I got some egg foo young, which I haven't had in a very long time, and this is so good. It's a lot. I didn't realize it was going to be an entree size, so I think I'm going to save at least one of these omelets, and I don't know if I'll be hungry later for dinner at the Mexican restaurant, but we'll see. If I do, I'll probably get something like a la carte, just, you know, something small. Also forgot to show you, so here's, I need to get another sock blocker, but socks are done. Thank God, that was a lot of sock to knit. I'm not even lying. That was, I guess I only have to do this like once every other year. But that's done. Birthday's in a couple of weeks, so he'll get them done. And I am going to cast on my other kid's sock sometime this week, probably tomorrow. There's a whole thing going on. That's why. Giving these away free, so don't put them in there.
Thank you.
I'll put them up at the front. So
I've got, if you have more of them, no, but I've got 3 pencils.
You never know what you're going to get at Smart Supply, and this time they had a loom for $800, I believe the price was. I don't know what the condition is, but I thought I'd show it because that was interesting. Not anything to buy today. I didn't realize they were having a big sale this weekend, and it was picked through, so nothing today. I did find 2 balls of yarn for like 50 cents a piece, but then I was like, nah, I'm not gonna deal with it. I'm not gonna stand in line for that. So on we go to my favorite coffee shop. In case you're curious from the sock video, this is what I mean when I say boot sock. Not like boots, but just little boots like this. That's what I mean by boot sock. So I'm knitting a few rows past shorty so that they're comfortable in this type of shoe. I am almost done with my last square for now on my memory blanket. If you're new here, I am not doing the memory blanket the normal way, piecing it together and having this big bulky thing on my lap. I am doing it in 4 square sections, and then eventually I'm going to sew it together. So I think this is my 10th or 11th square, I don't remember, but when I'm done with this one, I'm going to lay it out and kind of get an idea of how I want the pieces to go, and then decide how many more pieces I want to do, etc., etc. What I did with this pattern as well is I took it from fingering weight to DK just to make the squares bigger, but I kept the stitch count the same. So I should be done with that today. Turns out I have 16 squares, and so this is what it looks like put together. I don't know if I'm going to keep this whole color scheme going on. I might rearrange some of these squares, but I just kind of wanted to lay it out for now and see how big the potential blanket is. And it's a nice size. It's very square. I might want to, I don't know if I want to lean toward a bigger square or make it into a rectangle. So, yeah, I think I definitely want it bigger regardless. So, I think I'm going to do at least 4 more squares. Not anytime soon, but I think I'm going to do 4 more squares and then kind of go from there and figure out what I want to do. Yeah. All right. You know, and I also like the fact that like I didn't make all of the miters going in the same direction. I'm glad I made that decision early because I really like the fact that they're all going every which way. I think it puts more interest into the blanket. I decided I'm just going to put my bread in the fridge and deal with it tomorrow morning because I have too much going on today and I don't want to deal with it. Now, normally with an artisan sourdough bread, this is a normal step. But with this particular recipe for the soft bread sourdough, normally it goes in my pan right here that I already have prepped and buttered and everything. And then it sits until it reaches the top. And then we bake it. Don't even score it. You just bake it. But I just really don't feel like dealing with it. So this is actually going to be an experiment to see if this will bake up fine in the morning. I'm sure that it will, but I've never done it before, so I don't know. But yeah, completely different from the instructions that I told you. It is what it is. So the bread turned out better than I thought, which was good. Now that tells me that with that recipe, if I don't have time to deal with it, I can just bake it the next day, like an artisan bread, so yay. And I haven't had any of it yet. There's like a piece of crust that came off and it was pretty good. So anyway, yesterday I worked on my autumn socks, and this part here is not part of the pattern. I just didn't feel like doing an afterthought heel, so I just carried it to the front, do part of the short row heel. Anyway, I did a whole repeat of the leaves and started a second repeat. I'm basically going to repeat the foot, so once I get down to like 3 leaves, then I will do the ribbing and be done with that. And then that pattern is part of a set, so autumn acorns or something like that, so I'm just going to reverse the colors, and I think there's a third color in there somewhere, so I'm going to have to look for that as well. Yeah, because obviously the acorn tops are going to be a third color, so I have to find something for that. That's mostly what I worked on yesterday. I did do a little bit here and there of some other things, but I'll talk about that in the podcast. So I don't know, I just felt like doing a vlog this time. It's not really for me, it's not my style. I don't do them very often, but I just felt like doing one. So I hope you enjoyed, and I will see you in a week or two with the regular podcast. Bye, I'll see you next time.